Right. Hello, and welcome back to another Dauntless development video. Now, it's been a little while, especially since the last one of this FPS tutorial series, and that's what this is. It's another edition. We are going to be looking at collectibles, and we're also going to be having some score system UI. So we're going to be picking up ammo off the ground. That's the collectibles we're going to go for. So we're going to pick up ammo so that we can restore how much ammo we have, and also get points for destroying enemies. Just so we've got some kind of actual gameplay. So I'm going to start out by creating the score canvas thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the canvas. I'm going to right click, go to UI, and add text. And I'm going to place this text up at the center middle, top center, just because why not? We don't have anything there. It seems like a reasonable place to put the score. I'm just going to resize this text box. I'm going to center align it so it's completely central. I'm going to change this to score, and then let's say 100. See what it looks like. Maybe 1,000. See what it looks like with that kind of number. And then I'm going to increase the font size just to see. It's a bit too big. Perhaps. There we go. So if I go into game view, that looks okay. Obviously, it's not perfect. We're not doing impressive graphic UI. That's not my area of expertise. So we'll just go for this for the prototype, and then obviously you would be able to change this for some kind of fancy font, or maybe you might have some icons and stuff like that. You might even want something like a kind of an XP bar of sorts to track score instead of an actual score number. But yeah, this is just an example. So yeah, this looks about right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just rename this to score text. So that I know what it is when I'm looking for it. And I'm going to go into the shootable target script. And there's a few ways we could go about this. I'm going to handle this through shootable target. Or will I? Yeah, no, I'll handle this through shootable target. So I'm going to add score based on this script because this is where we'll handle actually the enemy dying. So we'll know exactly how exactly when they will die, so we can then call from the point where they die to add points. So it's going to go in here somewhere, but we're going to need a reference to it. Now, you know what? Let's do this a bit better. Instead of adding it to there, we're going to make ourselves a new script, and we're going to make a game manager script. And you're going to notice that the icon will change. To my knowledge, it doesn't mean anything bad. I know it seems quite ominous when the icon changes like that, but to my knowledge, it doesn't mean anything in particular. I think it's just Unity recognizes certain class names and puts an icon there that makes sense. Obviously, a game manager is going to handle like settings of stuff, so it's given this icon. And if I'm wrong about that, if it does cause an issue, please let me know in the comments, because I use this all the time. So what we're going to want inside here is we're going to want a public. Actually, before we do that, we need to say using, if I can please hit the right key, using Unity Engine .ui. And now I'm going to say public text and score text. And what we'll do is we will have a function in here, public function called public void update score. And then I guess we will increase the score amount. So we'll say int score. Yeah, that'll do. So we'll update score. We'll also have a variable. In fact, I'll call this S, and then I'll have a private variable here, private int score here, and we'll start this off at 0. So this will be the actual thing that keeps track of the score. This one will add to the score and also update the text. So whenever this function's called, we want to just say score plus equals S, and then we want to say score text, which for some reason I put a capital here, did not mean to do that. Score text dot text equals score. Equals, and probably actually the easiest way to do this is if we do this, and then we say score, and then score. So if I believe I covered this in a previous video, but what this basically does is this little $sign beforehand means if we put curly braces inside the string, it knows to take the value of the variable. So it knows you're placing variables in instead of just taking it as a literal string. If we don't have that, you'll see it doesn't have that kind of special highlighting, and it'll just print this actual string instead of the variable instead. So this will update the score, but we need a way of adding this function, of calling this function. Now, there's a few ways we could do this. The simplest way for now will be to just have a reference to the game manager in every shootable target. But as we go later down the line, we'll probably use a better method rather than having references to everything passed across. So, shootable target will need a public game manager, and I'll just call it GM, because, you know, that makes sense. And then inside take damage, I'm going to say if health is less than or equal to 0, we're first of all going to say health equals 0. And we're going to say gm dot update score, and let's add 100 points for each kill. So there we go. So that should all work once we've attached the scripts. So I'm going to just go into Unity. I'm going to make an empty object, and I'm going to call this object Game Manager. So this doesn't have an actual, like any kind of actual physical presence in the world. It's just empty. It has a transform, but that doesn't really matter. This is just going to store the Game Manager script and potentially any other scripts that don't need to be attached to anything that's kind of going to move around. So we're going to attach this score text in here. And then inside the shootable target, we will add the Game Manager to here. And now in theory, if we hit play, and I just go here, I need to reload, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I forgot that I have limited ammo, so I guess we'll test that in a moment after we've made our ammo pickup. So I'll quickly make that ammo pickup now. So what we need is, I'll just go to scene view and just zoom in on the player, go back into 3D. I'm just going to make a little cube, so 3D cube. I'm just going to make it 0.4, 0.8, 8.8. Why not? And we're just going to sit this on the floor over here. Why not? And this is going to be our ammo pickup. So I'm going to rename this to ammo. And what we're going to do is we're going to say, first of all, I'm going to tick this little box that says is trigger. And what this will do is basically it means that if we bump into this, we won't actually bump into it. We'll just walk straight through, but it will register that we've walked through it. So it means that we can, I tend to like to use this for collectibles, things that you pick up by walking over, because it means that you don't your character doesn't jerk around a bit when they bump into them, they'll just pass straight over them. So inside the player, I guess, what we can do is we can say on trigger enter, and this will autofill these pieces, so you don't necessarily need to remember how to write this, but it's private void on trigger enter collider, and then this is just the variable name, so this could be anything, but it fills it as other. So on trigger enter, so this will detect whenever you enter a collision with a trigger, or if this had a trigger on it when something enters the collision of the trigger box. So we're going to say if other dot get component, and inside here we're going to say, although actually I'm just thinking, where does, you know what? I'm going to actually say move this and make a new script for the collectible itself. So you could do this either way. It doesn't matter too much, but I'm going to call this ammo pickup. And yeah, I'm going to put the behavior inside here just so we've got a separate class for it, and we can customize it somewhat. So I guess I'll make an int called ammo amount. And this will be just the amount of ammo that you'll pick up, let's say 10. And we'll have a on trigger enter here. And we'll say if other dot get component, and we'll say player controller does not equal null. Then we know that the thing that we've collided with is a player. And if it's a player, we want the player to be able to pick up this ammo. Now, the only problem is our projectile gun, which is what I'm currently using in here. That is the one that stores the ammo, etc. So, because of that, we don't have a easy way of accessing the ammo count, since it's not actually in the player controller, and because the gun isn't a variable inside here. Now we could store this as a variable, and that might make it easier, but what's probably a better solution, since the gun is childed to the player, we can say find object in children, and we can find this projectile gun script in the children. And that way we can call the function from there. So we can say if other dot, and then we'll just say find object, oops, oh sorry, not find object, get component in children. And we're going to look for projectile gun, and we'll say if that does not equal null, then we know we can access the projectile gun. So I'm going to just copy that, paste it here, and we will add ammo. Now I don't know, can't remember, did we make a function for that? we have a public void pickup ammo. Yes, so what we'll do is we will pick up ammo. So we'll just say dot pick up ammo, and it will be ammo amount. And that will pick up ammo. Now at the moment, it will pick up ammo whenever you enter the collision, and then if you leave now and come back in again, you'll pick it up again. But if you stay there, you won't keep picking it up. Now, ideally, obviously, we want it to despawn eventually, but for now, I'm just going to leave it as it is, just for testing. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just quickly select this, add the ammo pickup script right here, and hopefully, if everything works as intended, we should see a collision. No collision. Is it because, let's see. Okay, so there's one thing that you can learn about Unity collisions. When it comes to two things in Unity colliding with each other, one of them must have a rigid body on it. So it must have the rigid body component. The reason behind that is, if you think, rigid body basically means that something can move. And if two objects aren't rigid bodies, then theoretically they can't move, and therefore they will never collide. However, if you add a rigid body, even if they're not moving due to physics, I'm going to just uncheck this gravity thing for now because we don't want it. I'm just unticking gravity. We'll get onto that at a later stage. But now the collision should work because it's got a rigid body attached. So there we go. You see it went up to 15, 20, 30, 40. There we go. So you can pick up lots of ammo, and now I've realized that the score is at 1,000 by default. It shouldn't be, but there we go. It's at 100. And now it's going to keep killing it because we never actually despawn the enemy. But it means that you can see that as we would defeat enemies, we would get additional points. So we're going to add just a few little bits of extra functionality just to make this a bit better. I'm just going to say right here, what we should have is we should also say destroy and then game object. So that means that when we pick up the ammo, it will destroy it. However, I am going to comment out this line just for whilst we test it so we can keep grabbing ammo. So what I'm going to do is go to the shootable target script, and we're going to say if the health is less than or equal to 0, so we update the score, and then we're also going to destroy game object. So game object just means the whole object. So everything that's in here, it'll destroy the whole thing. So now when we shoot the target, I'm just going to reload and shoot the target. And you see it's gone. Now, so what we want to do, what makes a little bit more sense, is if we just take this target and we just Control-C, Control-V, and then just duplicate this a few times. And now I'm going to just adjust this text 1 second because I keep forgetting to change it. So I'm going to set this to 0 for now. There we go. So it starts off at 0. And then I'm going to reload and we shoot this thing and we've got 100 points. Now I'm going to shoot this one and we've got 200 points. So you see, this is how you can use kind of pickups and scores. So it's quite simple. Obviously, this is a very primitive way of doing it. We could do this a lot more complex. And if we were to expand on this, I might do, since this is more of a beginner FPS kind of thing, I'll probably do a totally separate project where we go from scratch and work on it properly and do everything completely by the book. Because in this kind of tutorial, I've cut corners because it's to make things simpler for a beginner. But like, for example, I wouldn't handle the ammo in the weapon most of the time, and I wouldn't have I wouldn't have the game manager be so simple, and I would probably have things respawning and stuff like that. I also would definitely have gravity on. But yes, these are all things for another time. But right now, where we're at, we have scores and we have ammo pickups. So it adds some more functionality to the weapon, and it has a little bit of gameplay in that you can get some kind of reward for shooting things. But yeah, obviously right now they're just stationary targets, so it's not that fun. But what we'll work on next time is we'll probably work on some very simple AI. Now, I don't mean like, it's not going to be predicting the future or, predicting lottery numbers. All this is going to do is just going to have some enemies that'll wander around, move towards you, and when they bump into you, they'll do damage to you. So we're also going to implement player health as well. So once we've got that, we'll have some kind of simple game on our hands, and then we'll be about ready to wrap up this kind of basic tutorial. So probably another 1 or 2 more sessions. But that's all anyway, so thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.